Hello, testing. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Hit the like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications so you're notified whenever we go live. Welcome back to Sharp Edge News TV. I hope you guys are doing well. Welcome. All right, so we have a fantastic show lined up for you today. Today we're going to be touching back, catching some updates on Natasha, Akpoti. We're going to be talking about, of course, President Trump. We're also going to talk about Fubara, Tinubu, River State crisis, and some other things, So welcome back. Again, do us a favor. You're watching Sharp Edge News TV. Hit the like button, share, subscribe, follow, turn up your notifications so you're notified when we go live. Without any further ado, today, ladies and gentlemen, get ready. We have a man of two powerful roles, publisher of SharpEdgeNews.com and High Chief Odokwetu of Ayede Ogbese, Ondo State. Whether in the newsroom or the kingdom, is always ahead. Give it up for the legend, Chief Oladimeji Abitogun. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much, Ola. So good to be back, and our sincere gratitude, deep appreciation to our audience out there. The viewership is growing by the day, and we need to register our appreciation to these individuals. We value those who have made a deliberate choice to be part of what we do every week. It's they see us as the weekly tonic, always giving our perspectives and making sure that we provide proper context in a concise way to news, events everywhere around Nigeria and the world in which we live. Just making sure that we do not allow things to run amok, especially people who will not respect the different constitutions of the different climes and lands where they call the shots as government. That said, Ola, it's good to be back.
Absolutely. Well, without any further ado, let's just dive right into it. I'm sure you have some SharpEdgeNews.com special for us today. If you want to just dive right into that, and then we'll start addressing some of the trendy stories around the world.
Indeed. The way today, rolled off the way today, kicked off in itself was really instructive, and no news event, so to say, is always, there's no way anybody will say that, oh, this is what I expect in any given day. Particularly in Nigeria, in the last few months, it's not longer trendy to think that people would break through the walls of correctional facilities in Nigeria. Everybody thought that, with the new man calling the shots in person of Mr. Sylvester Ndidi as the acting Controller General of Nigerian Correctional Service, and we expect that he is going to be confirmed by the country's Senate as a substantive Controller General. But we all woke up to the disturbing reality that, again, at Cotton Karfe, Kogi State, North Central Nigeria, there was a situation of a prison break, jail break, whichever name anybody wants to ascribe to it, in which reportedly about 11 inmates escaped. But Providence has it that 5 of them probably were caught or walked back, would not want to cooperate with the elements out there. Remember, only last week at National Press Center, Radio House in Abuja, the Minister of Interior, Dr. Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, had given a scorecard on the various reforms recorded by the ministry and its parastatals, the paramilitary organizations under it, the different strides they have recorded. And part of that situation, the positive developments recorded, was that of the correctional service. And Mr. Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo had reported to Nigerians and all of us all over the world that with the new database developed concerning inmates in Nigeria, correctional facility inmates in Nigeria, that it will be so easy to get anybody. I think with that kind of scorecard, some people decided to put the system to the test. And that probably will be the context, the background against which the prison break that was recorded in Kotokarufi must have been staged. The second context will probably be that some people, because whether anybody likes it or not, the appointment of Mr. Sylvester Ndidi as the Comptroller General of Nigeria Correctional Service in itself is a landmark decision by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Is that nobody had expected that the administration will be capable of carrying out an agenda of inclusion, particularly for northeastern Nigerians. For southeastern Nigerians, people of Igbo extraction, people from the old South that used to be part of the defunct eastern region, minus the Niger Delta or Delta State and Edo State components of it that used to be part of Western region and later Midwestern region in Nigeria. So the fact that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu could appoint an Igbo man or a Nigerian who is of Igbo ethnic extraction to head that critical parastatal in itself was also put to the test, because everybody had thought, oh, the agenda would always be that Igbos would be excluded, Igbos would be marginalized. But Tinubu made a statement by appointing somebody of Igbo ethnic extraction to lead that parastatal. That in itself has not struck a positive chord in the mind of some people in Nigeria. Remember, Nigeria Correctional Service has always been a litmus, has always been some place that some people held down as their exclusive purview. But with the coming of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that changed. There was a shift in that kind of twisted logic. So now some people, in order to discredit the good works of Sylvester Ndidi, they have launched into a familiar mode, breaking prisoners free from wherever they are held in Nigeria. And from the statements that came from Mr. Adio, the special assistant to the Minister of Interior today, it looks like already the system that was meant to work kicked in, and 5 of them were immediately brought back into the what's it called, the correctional facility. So for everybody listening, this is, everybody can blame the government for as long as anybody wants to, but there must also be responsible citizenship to continue to want to do things that border on outright and extreme criminality in order to put a system to the test, to continue to hit the polity up in an avoidable way. It's not, it doesn't really make sense to anybody. And that is the context in which we are reporting the progress being made by the Nigerian Correctional Service. And we hope that the National Assembly would make quick the process of confirming Sylvester Ndidi as the new Controller General of the agency. This is something that is so critical. This is more important than the distraction of the shoddy jobs being done by the National Assembly to endorse what majority of Nigerians now see as an illegality by the Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration, declaring a state of emergency in a federating state of the country, namely
Sorry,
Rivers.
Quick question, sir. The prison break that you mentioned earlier happened where?
Cotton Carife.
Where is this? In what state?
Kogi State.
Okay. Yeah. I think they said, I'm looking at the news right now, say they've captured 5 out of...
Yes, that's what they are saying, that they captured, but our sense is that they probably just gave it up and walked back. And it's like they are trying to test the claim by the Minister of Interior that the database already developed by the agency would be able to make sure that nobody escapes for good like it used to be in the past. Do not remember that under the purview, the watch of these individuals who are trying to discredit the good work of Sylvester Ndidi, jailbreak, prison break was a daily occurrence. And you look at how Boko Haram suspects boldly, brazenly walked off the facility at Kuje, and nobody, you're talking of more than 100 of them at Kuje, and for them to want to do this, to sting and to make sure that the new man is painted as somebody that is incapable is in itself ungodly, very, very irresponsible and condemnable. So everybody should sit up. You don't just allow people to break free from wherever they are being held for proven crimes, and then you think you are building a nation that way. That is the wrong way to build any country. So this is on them rather than Sylvester Ndidi. Now, in this past week, we have seen a situation in which brothers and sisters decided to go to an avoidable war elsewhere in Osun State. Ilobu, Osun, in Osun State versus their neighboring communities. It is not something that is unheard of in Yoruba land, contrary to what people are trying to say. But for some of us who are familiar with this kind of avoidable communal clashes, what happens is that if a community decided to want to wage war against the other, and they are putting their signboards and their insignia on lands that do not really belong to them, whether by ancestry or by conquest or by settlement. Once you notice that, you don't mobilize your youth to go and fight a free-for-all battle. No. You raise a memo, you raise a petition to the appropriate authorities, and then they would make sure that they convene a meeting of all stakeholders, the fielding individuals concerning this, and DSS will be there, the military could be there, the police could be there, civil defense, and what have you. Because I'm borrowing the people concerned my perspective on this because it happened when people in a neighboring community that used to be an extension of our community in Ayedogwese, when they decided to get belligerent and territorial, and they started putting their signposts. I just said, no. Nobody is saying you cannot have your freedom. Nobody is saying you cannot stay on your own. Youths, we are not going to sanction a situation. I was virtually the person calling the shots in the community then, because yes, indeed, because the king was not on the throne. The regent had to be supported by all of us kingmakers and the chiefs. And so what I did was to write to the governor and the local government authorities and what have you. And they called all of us to the local government secretariat. Instead of us unleashing dogs of war, our youth to go and to go on a killing rampage. No.
Right.
Nobody's blood is what the ambition or the expansionist ambition of anybody. So we all sat down, we spoke, voices were raised, claims were made, there were counterclaims. At the end of the day, the Boundary Adjustment Commission people came and they did the needful. No blood was shed. And so it is regrettable and sad that more than 30 people have been killed in Osun State in the last 1 week.
Wow.
And this is avoidable. Nobody lives here forever. This land, as it is, yes, you want to assert some, what's it called, pride of your clan or your sub-ethnic group. Good. But is it really worth all the effort when you know that at long last, we would need each other? We will patronize the same community markets. We would always run into, for example, if I run to anybody from Alayere in America here, am I going to say that I do not have him as a brother or sister, as an Ayede Ogbese person? So if we made sure that, on that day when I raised that memo to the late governor, Rotimi Akeredolu, there were people who were calling names, but I knew that was the reasonable thing to do in the circumstance. And I think whatever perspective I am given here would be appreciated by the people of Osun State on how to avoid unnecessary bloodshed. And no bloodshed is even necessary. We ought to have been more mature than this as human beings. So, as a way of evolution, let us grow higher than the way our ancestors were. That said, other things were in the news this last week. Journalists and brothers.
We run out of time for the.
Yeah, just
special.
1 minute, please. Just one minute, please. Journalists as brothers and sisters were going to be on each other's throats about people changing mouths. Today, they would see what is unconstitutional. Tomorrow, they will say, oh, the same thing is constitutional. Can we cool it down? Through our conduct, we can be a veritable barometer, to less fortunate individuals watching us, seeing us as the prism through which they are able to place a handle on the development of our society. That said, Ola, it's good to have a new week. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. All right. So with that being said, help us hit the like button, share, subscribe, and follow. We're trying to keep this concise, as the name says, or as the slogan says, for SharpEdgeNews.com. So, but do us a favor, always try your best to join the conversation in the comment section, because it helps us engage with you, the audience, even more. Hit the like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications so you're notified when we go live. Now we're getting into trendy stories around the world. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. So we're talking about Natasha. We're kind of like trying to catch up to speed. A lot has happened in a very short period of time. Natasha Akpoti faces recall. INEC receives shocking petition. I'm looking at a report here on Punch Nigeria. It says the Independent National Electoral Commission has received the petition seeking the recall process of Senator Natasha Akpoti Iduaga as Senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The Secretary to the Commission, Rose Oriaran Anthony, received the petition on Monday. The constituents claimed The signed petition met the requirements as stipulated by the Constitution 1990 as amended. It was learned that more than one half of the registered voters in the district, over 200,000 people, signed in support. Now, some of the other reports we're getting is that not even up to 100,000 people actually voted to put her in that office in the first place.
Exactly the same point. Exactly the same point.
And also, a few days ago, we saw pictures of people and videos of people saying they have no idea what they're signing. So, interesting. I'm going to read this to you. She just posted this on our Instagram page. Natasha at Natasha Akpoti on Instagram. She said, through trials, fears, and battles long, she stands unshaken, bold and strong. With heart aflame and vision bright, she carves new paths. She sparks the light. The voices rise, the echoes soar. A leader born to break the door with justice firm and purpose true. She fights for all, for me, for you. No chain can bind, no storm can break. Her wheels a force. The tides must wake in hails of power. Hear her name, a song of triumph, a touch of claim. Oh, rhythm sweet of victory's call. She rises high. She stands for all. Senator Natasha H. Akpoti Uduaga, proudly Kogi Central. She was also on on Sky News. She was on BBC over the past few days. But I'm going to leave the floor to you. What do you have to say? I mean, it's a lot so far, right?
Yeah, I agree with the words of the poem you have just read out. I mean, something you said was directly taken from her Twitter or X handle. Honestly, those who have been contracted, and I am deliberate in the choice of that word, those that have been contracted, the hack jobbers that have been assigned to the task of gathering phony phony signatures for our recall, ought to see themselves as what they are: little minds. Little minds. For somebody to be fighting for her political career, for her own essence, and then, I mean, to have gone the whole hog, right in the full viewership of the entire world, the way her voice was stifled, and then daring to stand up for herself, and the whole machinery of the state, the coercive instrument of the state, just for a face-off, issues of the mind, emotions between two people. Somebody had alleged she'd been harassed, and she had rejected such overtures. Hence, the fact that she was being delegitimized as a senator in the hallowed chambers of the National Assembly, the upper chamber. And people will not even see through that and ask for what is decent and normal in this situation: a fair, unbiased hearing. And the next thing is for some people to start signing phony petitions for a recall. The same INEC that first came out to say that they were not part of the whole thing, that it was not enjoying their blessing, is the same INEC that stepped out today through these Ms. Rose to accept, honestly, these fraudulent signatures. This exercise, you see, they are determined to go to push through with whatever they want to do. But for Natasha Akpoti Uduaga, who has always confronted adversaries in that state, in that community, in that senatorial district, this is not going to be anything novel. It's not going to be harder than the past baptisms of fire that she had experienced. And so for these people to see themselves as being gainfully employed now through something that Nigerians would readily recognize as a pull him down syndrome. I mean, that is their own PhD. That how they, and the most vociferous, the loudest of the voices that you hear there is that of one lady like that, forgetting that if this is a way for her to gain some advantage, the same thing that was done to Natasha that she has rejected, maybe this person would joyfully embrace such harassment and advance her own political career through all these underhand minuses that we have witnessed.
I feel like Nigerians don't believe in karma, sir. They believe in favor.
Well, good for them. But at some point, that karma will kick in. And you know the funny thing that they said they want to even achieve? They said Natasha Akpoti should be recalled, and somebody who has brought them intractable disgrace over and over, like Yahaya Bello would now occupy that seat. Long ago, when this drama first started, I told you the unseen hand would be that of the so-called white lion of Kogi. And that is all, is boiling to the surface already. Things like this do not just happen. So when they remove Natasha Akpoti now, and they bring Yahaya Bello to the Senate, if that is the agenda, you know what that Senate becomes? It is reduced in size, in stature and dignity again. Because already you know the track record of Yahaya Bello. So that is where he would sit ensconced for the next few years. And then, it would be a good way for him to avoid facing the charges before the law courts, the charges being preferred against him by the EFCC. You see the way people reason?
Some are saying that Yahaya Bello is vindicated, that he won against Natasha before.
What is the vindication? That Yahaya Bello did everything. He was never right.
I think the particular person is actually one of the senators out of Kogi who was actually saying this, saying they had won, they had spoken to her.
Remember when the same so-called Kogi senator, that's why we have always said that somebody ought to be aware of the enemy within. This was the man from Kogi West, the senator from Kogi West was so loud.
Karimi, his name is Karimi.
Yes, he was the one that was saying that he ought to be blamed for interceding and making sure that
speaking up for her.
That is Akpabio, that they brought this upon Akpabio. You know the card, playing the victim's card, making Akpabio to look like the victim. Yeah, people ought to fear God. People ought to fear that day when we will all, when all our eyes will be closed in sleep, and then we won't be able to open those eyes anymore. If what we have been told about the world beyond, if it is true, you open their eyes, it's just going to be to that eternal glory, whether to judgment or to condemnation. People ought to be careful. But you see, the strong and the strong and the privileged in this affluent world can be very insensitive and wicked. And sometimes those of us who are not as fortunate as they are, we think, everything we've been told in the good books, whether in the Holy Bible or the Quran, may just be some fairy tales. But there is something that tells me in my mind that these things are not fairy. That there is something supernatural, and that there is life after this life. And so that is what we ought to be cautious about. So for people to be moving in all kinds of schemes, wiles, and whims around Kogi State and around Nigeria, it's now a case of one plot after the other, one scheme after the other, mendacity beyond the ordinary. Governing us in deception. Who are we deceiving? And then they are spending so much money on public relations to make sure that Nigeria looks good. How is the country going to look good through all this? They are contriving all kinds of avoidable and disgraceful plots every day. You are doing this against a woman. Any shameful man ought to know that in any encounter with a woman, it will be so sensitive not to know when to retreat. You can hardly win in that argument because you cannot really know when you cross the line when you are dealing with a woman. So this woman knows when the point at which she took offense at overtures from Akpabio, so to say. We were not there. And people who come around to want to convince us that, oh, they witnessed it. Oh, this is what she has always done. Oh, it's she's a serial blackmailer. They ought to fear God because you don't know what that lady has been through. We witnessed some, particularly from disgraced Yaya Bello. So for anybody to say Yaya Bello is justified, I think it's all nonsense. Those things we say to justify the unjustifiable. That's my take on it. And so far, so good. I like Natasha Akpoti Uduaghan's spirit. I like her spirit. She is so defiant. And that is the tone you find in the poem, that quotation you took from her ex-handle. And I stand with her.
All right. Let us know your thoughts. Right now, that poem was quite inspiring. My question to you, the audience, is should she be making such statements right now, or does she know what she's doing? Should she come out and speak out? Should she be going on Sky News, BBC, and all these places?
She should go everywhere. This is a major test. This is a major expose that Nigeria doesn't have a true democracy yet. It is some work in progress. Nobody should say, oh, free at last. Nigerians are not yet free. We are gagged. We are gagged. You know what? What feelers we get all the time that those of us who are Nigerians in the diaspora, the broadcast you make, your media productions, you come to Nigeria, you are going to be held out. So who cares? Who cares? Why must we behave as if we are unrepentant? All the time we put it on the card, we put it on the table, reparations to be paid for slavery, reparations to be paid for colonialism, reparations to be paid for neocolonialism. How about things we do against each other? Who is going to restitute for that? Who is going to pay reparations for the way in which, of course, don't let me speak too much because it is possible we still touch on what Obasanjo, Soyinka, and Goodluck Jonathan said. But to think that we have a true democracy yet, with all these things that we perpetuate against each other, the way we violate ourselves with impunity, as if there won't be retribution at some point, like you put it, that there is no karma. There is karma. Just that,
I said Nigerians don't believe in it.
Well, they will believe. If they don't believe in it, how come the country has been going through this virtuous circle of underdevelopment for how many years now? So, whoever is wishing it away should understand that the other name for karma to know is that karma is a bitch. So that is the way it goes.
All right. Let us know your thoughts. Join the conversation in the comment section below. Hit like, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications so you're notified when we go live. We're moving on to some other trendy stories around the world. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. Welcome back. Of course, you know what time it is. Let's talk about Donald J. Trump, the president of the United States. There's some updates. Of course, we're probably having every day of a reality TV show now. If you're paying attention, you know it's been quite dramatic. But welcome back. Let's look at this news. Trump admin rushes to Supreme Court. Judges order causes panic. Okay, so I'm looking at a report here on apnews.com. It says the Trump administration asked the Supreme Court on Monday to alter a ruling ordering the rehiring of thousands of federal workers let go in mass firings aimed at dramatically downsizing the federal government. The emergency appeal argues that the judge can't force the executive branch to rehire more than 16,000 probationary employees. The California-based judge found the firings didn't follow federal law, and he ordered reinstatement offers be sent as a lawsuit plays out. The appeal also calls on the consecutive majority court to rein in the growing number of federal judges who have slowed President Donald Trump's sweeping agenda. And I quote, "Only this court can end the interbranch power grab," the appeal stated. So my question for you, sir.
Yes.
First of all, there are some other updates I'm sure you'll share with us over the week. But what do we know about this right here that's going on here? Does the judge have the power to stop Trump and his agenda in his track?
Oh, yes. If there is anywhere where there is this hope that there can be no room for state capture, there can be no room for power grab and or what has been described in the AP report as the interagency, the whatever there. If there is any hope left for the common man, if there is any hope for the vast majority of humanity that have been reduced, in the words of the late Nigerian playwright, Professor Olarotimi, if there is any hope, I'm borrowing that word, the phrase, the living dead. If there's any phrase for the living dead right now, that hope is reposed in the ability of the judiciary to make sure that no branch of the government ride roughshod on the other co-equal parts of that government. What we mean is that this overreach by the executive branch led by Donald Trump is getting a kind of pushback through the judiciary. The legislature, the Congress in the United States to some extent, has also demonstrated that it is not better than the Nigerian National Assembly in some respect. Because whether majority party is the same that controls the executive, it does not matter. The fundamental principle of checks and balances, as espoused by the political philosopher Montesquieu, should be allowed to kick in. To want to rubber stamp all the foolhardiness of the number one citizen is not the way true democracy operates, especially Republican democracy, such as we have in America. And that ruling by the California judge, the federal judge in California, indeed meet the threshold. And this is not just, this is an isolated situation amongst other losses that have been recorded by Donald Trump's presidency in the last few days. Over so many sweeping executive orders that he put in place to want to implode the American federal structure, the federal civil service structure, the bureaucracy, he has been losing so fast, like we have never seen before, to borrow his own words. You can't believe it. So, to now rush to the Supreme Court thinking that, a majority of the justices there had sympathies for Republican agenda, especially Agenda 2025. I think a root shock is awaiting him there. And that root shock is coming from the cautionary note that was issued to him last week by Chief Justice John Roberts. Remember when Donald Trump was throwing tantrums because another federal judge had questioned the illegitimate and unlawful rendition, the way so-called Venezuelan gangsters were being deported to another country. You saw the way that judge said, whether that airplane that was carrying all these deportees, whether it was mid-air or wherever, it should turn around. And if that plane hadn't taken off, it should not go anywhere. In violation of that ruling, people decided to deport them. And when explanations were demanded by the judge, they said somebody on the ground, a low-level Homeland Security operative, was directed by White House to provide context to everything the judge wanted answered, and that was not satisfactory. Upon that, the judge still said the court has to be convinced about their deliberate decision to flout the ruling coming from that court. And then Donald Trump got unleashed and started calling the judge all kinds of names, which was why John Roberts, who rarely speaks against the excesses of anybody in the executive hand, said, no, this is not the way it operates here. Instead of calling names and doing all these shenanigans, what you can do is to follow through with the court process. Maybe you want to appeal that decision or what have you. But to want to start outing judges and calling them all kinds of unprintable names, it's no. So that is the kind of root shock that awaits Donald Trump when they now appear before the Supreme Court. And this offers us, as Americans, some degree of comfort that all hope is not lost. It may look like, 3 months in office, everything looks so hellish. Hope comes in the morning. Hope comes in the morning, and that hope is even here, that this system will not unravel. It will still be America will still be the shining city upon the hill that will be a beacon for the free world. This also shall pass. That is what I have to say at this point.
All right.
But
I'm sure we'll have more to say next week.
Yeah, I know you want us to. I'm deliberately guarded.
That's good. It's good.
I want this to play out. And like I told you, I'm trying to give Donald Trump that benefit of the doubt.
Right.
If he has misadvisors around him who just want him to be a failure, an old man that should secure his own legacy and be remembered as, old people can be so kind-hearted, old people can be so protective of younger ones and all that. If he doesn't want to leave a legacy such as that, and he listens to all these wrong people like Elon Musk. I mean, look at Elon Musk. Look at what is happening to his product. I think on this platform, remember when I said, I don't want to buy any product from this person. You know what he is forcing on this country? Pages copied from the troubled apartheid South Africa where he was born. That is what he is trusting on the world. And the world thinks, majority of Republicans in America think that this man is doing them some good, some favor. No,
we'll keep watching. We have to keep watching.
No, I mean, look at it. After everything that black majority did in South Africa to make sure that white minorities feel safe in that country, including carving for them their own country within South Africa, separate currencies and everything, they are never grateful. What they are doing on the African continent, whether in the Congo, whether elsewhere, look at the case of Niger, where France used to control the uranium deposits of that country, where they would be selling in excess of billions, and all they would ever give to the Niger Republic would be a paltry sum. Today, you see the humongous amount of money that Niger Republic is hauling in because they have rejected the neo-colonial overlordship of France. So everywhere these people go, they are accommodated, they are given everything, and we would continue as black people to love humanity. White, black, anything, brown, yellow, we are one under the same sovereign God. But what they are giving to us is so raw that you won't believe it. So that is the legacy Elon Musk is bringing to America, and America that has always been at peace with his neighbors to the north, Canada, the neighbor to the south, Mexico. Look at the way things are so tense.
We want to round up this segment, but I have a question for the audience. Not you, sir, for the audience.
Right.
Because I know you will have answer for the question. Is Elon Musk running this country, or is Donald Trump running this country? Because that last 2 minutes was about how Elon Musk is running things. So my question to the audience is Elon Musk the one running the affairs of the United States at this point?
Yeah, I know it's for the audience, but if you allow me to have an opinion too, I think it's co-presidency.
All right, let's move on to the next segment because of our time. Hit the like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications so you're notified when we go live. We have other trendy stories around the world. We'll be right back.
The crisis started with the good people of the state not being able to have access to the dividend of democracy. Also, it is public knowledge that the governor of Rivers State, for unjustifiable reasons, demolished the House of Assembly of the state as far back as 13th December 2023, and as up till now, 14 months after, now rebuild the same. I have made personal interventions between the contending parties for a peaceful resolution of this crisis, but my efforts have been largely ignored by the parties to the crisis. I'm also aware that many well-meaning Nigerians, leaders of thought, and patriotic groups have also intervened at various times with the best of intentions to resolve the matter, but all their efforts were also to no avail. Still, I thank them. On February 28, 2025, the Supreme Court, in a judgment in respect to all about 8 consolidated appeals concerning the political crisis in Rivers State, based on several grave unconstitutional acts and the disregard of the rule of law that has been committed by the governor of Rivers State, as shown by the evidence before it, pronounced in very clear terms. And I quote, "A government cannot be said to exist without one of the 3 arms that make up of the government of a state under the 1999 Constitution as amended. In this case, the head of the executive arm of the government has chosen to collapse the legislature to enable him to govern without the legislature as a despot. As it is, there is no government in Rivers State," and I quote. The above pronouncement came after a catalog of judicial findings of constitutional breaches against Governor Siminalayi Fubara. Going forward in their judgment, and having found and held that 27 members of the House who had allegedly deflected, and I quote, are still valid members of Rivers State House of Assembly and cannot be prevented from participating in proceedings, made some orders to restore the state to immediate constitutional democracy. These orders include the immediate passing of an appropriation bill by the Rivers State House of Assembly, which up to now has not been facilitated. Some militants had threatened fire and the governor have lines. With all this and many more, no good and responsible president will stand by and allow the grave situation to 1999 Constitution as amended. It has become inevitably compelling for me to invoke the provision of the Section 305 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, to declare a state of emergency in Rivers State with effect from today, 18th March, year 2025, and I so do. By this declaration, the governor of Rivers State, Mr. Siminalayi Fubara, his deputy, Mrs. Ngozi Odu, and all elected members of the House of Assembly state are hereby suspended for an initial period of 6 months.
All right, so that's what we're trying to get to. Mr. Jonathan or Dr. Jonathan Ebele, good luck, Jonathan Ebele, good luck. He's made some statements. I'm going to read that statement. Soyinka made Professor Soyinka made some statement. I'm going to read that statement. So the first one I want to read here is that of President Jonathan. He said the key factors in Nigeria, from the executive to the legislature, judiciary, and the Senate and the judiciary, they know the correct thing to do, but they are refusing to do it. They are pretending to sleep, and waking such a person is extremely difficult because the person knows the right thing. A clear abuse of office and clear abuse of power cutting across from the three arms of government, from the executive to the parliament and the judiciary. He said what is happening in Nigeria today regarding the situation in the River State is like an Indian proverb that says if somebody is sleeping, really sleeping, you can easily wake up that person. But if that person is pretending to sleep, you find it difficult to wake up that person. Professor Wale Soyinka said, if it is constitutionally right, then I think it is about time we sat down and amended the Constitution to make sure that it operates as a genuine federal entity. The government is over centralized. The debate will go on whether this state of emergency was in the first place a wise decision, but in terms of fundamental principles, I believe that this is against the federal spirit of association. I find that the Constitution has put too much power in the hands of the president. The system we are operating right now is not the best for a pluralistic society like ours. This is a fundamental principle I have always held. And there's a special assistant to the president, some senior special assistant to the president, Temitope Ajayi, who said, Professor Wale Soyinka and former President Goodluck Jonathan are respected statesmen, like many Nigerians who have offered varied opinions on the president's declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State. The two distinguished Nigerians have also offered their views. President Tinubu has a country to govern, and he has exercised his power under the 1999 Constitution as amended. President Tinubu has a duty to preserve Nigerians' corporate existence. He won't allow any part of the country or state to descend into chaos. The Supreme Court ruled that there is no functioning government in Rivers State. Known to the Constitution of Nigeria, President Tinubu won't fail in his sacred duty to protect and preserve the country. The floor is yours, sir.
Well, The only thing that is left for me to add is that former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan did not have to go all the way to India to import a proverb that is readily original to Yoruba land. Somebody is pretending you can wake somebody up, if wake whoever is sleeping up. If it's, that Akpiroro, that proverb in Yoruba land, Akinje ẹni tó bá ń sùn, àfi tó bá jẹ́ pé Akpiroro ni, that is pretending to be asleep. That is, somebody knows what is proper in a given situation and now has decided to do something else. And on all sides, he blames everybody for leadership failure. Wole Soyinka too talks of excessive executive power. That is his own creative way, characteristically, of saying that Tinubu acted in error by declaring a state of emergency there. And for Temitope Ajayi, who is talking of Tinubu as a country to govern, you can only govern a country if you also still continue to maintain that country continues in existence as a corporate entity. So if you take actions that are capable, as a president, you take actions actions that are capable of heating up the polity, that is unconstitutional. Can it really be said that you have a country to govern? People have to be very careful. The APC government has a notoriety. And in Akure parlance, it is known as Omesioro. There's nothing you say, no matter how constructive, they have their own feisty response. Very aggressive and usually very, very rude. That is APC structure for you. And this is why they continue to score this regular dissonance with the followership in Nigeria. And when you look at the fact that that section that has, that they continue to quote, quoted by Tinubu, counter quotes from everywhere. Section 305 of the Constitution, the power given to him to declare a state of emergency is not absolute. Like I said earlier, when this was employed during the Western Region crisis in 1961, declaring a state of emergency, making the place ungovernable, it was almost the same voice that we are hearing now, that what's it called? The Governors Forum, led by APC governor from Kwara State, saying their hands are tied. The same voice, that same sentiment was expressed by Justice Chowemimo when Awolowo was sent to prison for treasonable felony. Deliberately orchestrated. And Tinubu ought to know, as the president of Nigeria, with due respect, it's been so one-sided. Look at where he was quoting. And he said, even without a shred of evidence, that it was Fubara that destroyed the State House of Assembly structure. So if a place was bombed and the governor said it would have to be rebuilt, you now say he is the one that did that destruction. So when did somebody who was making effort to rebuild what had been destroyed as a result of arson?
So sorry, sir. Did it destroy the House of Assembly structure?
I think what Tinubu was calling the destruction would be the move he made to rebuild the place. But to now want to say that he was the one that destroyed it, nobody has provided any shred of evidence that he was responsible for the burning down of that edifice. So you would see that is almost like the proverbial hand of Esau and the voice of Jacob. The people who were drumming for the warriors concerning the affairs in Rivers State, the puppeteers.
Sorry, sir. I noticed something, sir. Even you have not brought up Wike in this conversation. Social media keeps bringing Wike into this.
That is where I'm going. That's where I'm talking of the puppeteer.
Okay.
Now it is obvious that the puppeteer, the string master behind the old facade, all this dance of war, drums of war that we have, that has been so offensive to our sensibilities in Rivers State. It's obvious that it must have been President Bola Ahmed Tinubu himself. And I've said that. So, yes,
sorry, sir.
Has been his willing tool.
I'm so sorry to interject. So sorry to interject your train of thought. So even the way you just brought it in, I'm trying to put myself. I have an idea, but even in the shoes of the average audience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who is Wike? Why is he involved in a president declaring a state of emergency in a state? And
he is the insider at the Federal Executive Council that must have been twisting and cooking up all kinds of reports for the security apparatus in Nigeria. He must be the one that has been providing wrong intelligence to the president to act wrongly. So, you see, Wike has become, remember the other day I described him as that kind of issue, that kind of force, who is capable of swinging either ways. Alabangada war. He is garbed in multicolor. You see this side, you think it's Wike you are seeing. The other side, you see it's another character. So you don't even know the interest he represents. Now,
I was about to ask that.
His game plan, everything, has misled President Bola Ahmed Tinubu into taking some wrong actions. Yet you would think that he's been working in cahoot with Bola Ahmed Tinubu to actualize some agenda in that place. Wike is neither here nor there. You think it belongs to PDP. At the same time, you think it's for APC. Why should one man be so strong as to constitute the nemesis for a whole country? More than 230 million people. And you say that it's not working for some interest to pull Nigeria down.
So I know we don't know exactly what the interest is. What is what do we know in terms of his interest, his motives? What is the point of all of this?
It is not clear the interest he represents, but that interest seems extraneous to me. I can't conclude, but it's not even working for the good of Bola Ahmed Tinubu's presidency. If you can lead a president by the nose, so much so that what is unconstitutional has been done at the moment. No. Wike owes us tons of explanation on who is working for.
Wait, on a government or state that is not really the governor in, how can I'm not understanding. Why is he owing us? Okay, let's go back to 1 week ago.
Yes.
Like 6 days ago. When this news broke, we kind of played phone tag a little bit. We would have ideally loved to do like a live session and basically address it at that point. When you saw this news, how did you feel at that point in time, and how has that evolved since last week?
I felt, you know what I felt at that moment? I just felt that, Nigeria's democracy was crashing right there. And really, it's a litmus test for that democracy, particularly when there has been no clear-cut effort on the part of the National Assembly to make sure that the threshold of 2/3 majority was met in order to approve the declaration of state of emergency in Rivers State. But beyond that as well is the fact that there can be state of emergency, but at whose instance? Did Fubara complain to them? Because everything Tinubu said there is just like rehashing the actuality of what happened. When the Supreme Court judgment was handed down,
Right.
Fubara made efforts to approach the State House of Assembly to present the budget of that state before them, as ordered by the Supreme Court. He was already acting to substantially comply with the ruling of the Supreme Court.
Well, Wike said at least should have waited for a response to his letter before he approaches the House of Assembly.
Wait now, people have sacrificed dog. Why are you going to give the thigh to the imam of a mosque? What is the relationship between Wike and what is being discussed, that he will now be the... And remember the way he's been bragging everywhere. He said that nothing would happen if he was impeached and all that. Wike was dancing to the beat of the drum being orchestrated by Aso Rock. And this the way he too had manipulated Bola Ahmed Tinubu in taking wrong decisions. That man, you know, we can, because we all are Nigerians, we want the best for that country. We don't want to hurt so many people, but the essence of what has happened, or what happened, has been captured by former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. It's been captured by Professor Wole Soyinka. God bless him. At 91, let me say this: I'm impressed. We have seen that he's truly brilliant. He's not faltering in his in the substance of what he has to say, in spite of the fact that he will soon turn 91, and yet his thoughts were so clearly expressed, and it means that he's not losing any coordination at the moment, in spite of being advanced in age. And we pray that we'll still see him and enjoy some moral guidance from him for some time to come. Now, the same sentiment you have heard from Obasanjo, who spoke today at the 68th birthday of the former governor of Imo State, Emeka Ihedioha, where he said, what we are seeing is government of a few people, by a few people, for a larger majority, you know, which is what has always been a subject of interest, right from the days of Socrates, Plato, Aristotle. Oligarchy within democracy, representative democracy instead of popular participation, where everybody is part of the democratic project. So the point I'm making is that people should watch out for Tinubu.
Wike.
Okay. And then if there is a blood covenant between him and Tinubu, they should speak up now.
Speaking of blood covenant, sir. Speaking of blood covenant, sir, is there a blood covenant between Fubara and Wike?
Well, you know that is not working, because that young man, as the governor of Rivers State, all I think he wanted was to be allowed to truly govern, to truly lead the state as the elected governor. Whether he was rigged into that office through Mago process or not. You know, this thing that has happened in Rivers, the decision of Bola Tinubu, is better captured in the words of my university friend, Segun Obayendo. You call this one political shekepum. Yes, it's political shekepum. That vanity that pushed out of the mouth when it's like, no, it's something that has messed up the substance of the nation called Nigeria. They may not like this. They don't want us to speak of the truth. If, because we speak of the truth, they don't want us to come to Nigeria, chase business, report as journalists, and be fair to one another, let them own the country. Let them own the country. Here we are. We would always thrive where everybody is respected for the opinions they hold, yet whether you belong to the government of the day or not, you are still able to survive in business. Because people are afraid that the government will weaponize business patronage and all that. They don't want to speak up. But you don't build a good nation like that. You do not build a good nation like that. This administration has not been fair to Fubara. Look at the way one National Assembly member, PDP member from Rivers State, was describing similarly Fubara as somebody that was of no consequence. A whole governor is describing him as being nobody, just because he would not worship on the altar of this ego-driven man. Very bad.
All right.
It's a sad day. It's a sad day for democracy in Nigeria. Not just Nigeria, in so many places all over the world, including the United States, where we live here.
Okay. We shall see. Join the conversations on the chat. We would like to hear from you. Hit the like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications so you are notified whenever we go live.
And Fubara should not be behaving like a wimp, Ola.
Please speak a little bit about that, because I saw Aisha saying that. I saw even very dark man saying that. What exactly should he do if it wasn't a wimp?
Household administrator. It's not about the tanks of the military, their weaponry rolling into Port Harcourt and all. He is the elected governor of that place. He should have stood his ground. Tinubu would have stood in Lagos. After all, there were times Tinubu did all that to rubbish Obasanjo in those days. Elsewhere, people were able to stand and blink an eyelid. Now,
because at first it disappeared. It went to Bayelsa. It was in government house in Bayelsa.
Yeah,
but even before the pronouncement of the emergency, Aisha Yusuf and Very Dark Man was saying the same thing you just said, which is it shouldn't be a wimp. And I'm wondering, if it wasn't a wimp, what would he be doing exactly before the pronouncement and after?
There must be some element of resistance, not by way of violence. It's called passive resistance. You sit there. Let that sole administrator that has been given all the resources of Rivers State, as at whose behest is he acting? Now that unsaid agreement that led to all this political tension there will be executed. I mean, allegedly or suspectedly, Wike can take everything he wants at the expense of the common folks in Rivers State. It's a sad day. So, Fubara should learn a little from all Nigerians during the heroic.
He needs to have some balls. He needs to have some balls. A spine. A stronger spine.
He needs to grow some, and he needs to learn how to give his adversary some kick from the rear end, from the rear. So this is what this is about. Yeah, he's a man. He has tried. When this day was giving award to Jason Wike as the Minister of the Year, I shook my head here. Fubara ought to have been given that award as Man of the Year in Nigeria. And even whether it's been wimpy or not, whether it's been sissy boy or not, honestly, I just feel like he is one man, probably the only man standing, symbol of resistance to the overreach of Tinubu in Nigeria today.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. We're rounding up now. Correct me if I'm wrong, right?
Yeah.
The Man of the Year or Minister of the Year has nothing to do with morals, because they also gave Donald Trump. They also gave Donald Trump Man of the Year here. I think Time Magazine.
The logic behind that at times is that, in spite of the overbearing coercion from the government at the center,
right,
Wike has all the support to do the razzmatazz that he's doing.
Okay.
But Fubara, was standing alone.
It's a man alone.
Yes.
Okay.
Honestly, he is my own Man of the Year. He is the man that has been exposed, that has been able to expose whatever was hidden that we never knew pre-existed in the character and personality of Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
All right. Okay. All right. Do us a favor, hit like, share, subscribe, follow, turn up your notifications, help us share it all around the world. We just hit 304 subscribers on YouTube, and we're trying to grow also on Facebook. So go and follow everywhere. Also on TikTok, we're dropping short clips on TikTok, on Facebook as well, even on YouTube right here. So make sure you're paying attention, and hopefully you've been enlightened educated. We'll see you on the next one. Take care and God bless.